All right, so here is Trump being interviewed by Sean Hannity. This is their town hall that they did yesterday. Someone said there was some exciting stuff that happens in this, so definitely want to hear what he has to say.
Think about this. In just 13 days, early voting will officially get underway across the Keystone State. In a few days, just mail-in ballots will go out in other states. And we are only 61 days from what I believe is an inflection point for the country. That's less than 2 months away. And that's the 2024 election. The race, according to polls, is close in 7 states. The latest Trafalgar poll.
Let me look at this real quick. So yeah, they're actually showing in PA that Trump is in the lead now. Okay, that's interesting. I always say if someone steals my identity, they will be wanting to give it back. Exactly. Them hackers wasted their time.
Poll has Donald Trump up by 2 in this state of Pennsylvania. This state could very well decide the entire race nationwide. The Real Clear Politics average shows statistically it is close, a tie in the states. Meanwhile, left-leaning statistician Nate Silver is giving President Trump a 58% chance of winning the Electoral College. But that, too, remains close. Trump is now...
All right, so they're saying Trump is leading in the polls. I want to pull up the national polls just to show you real quick. What we got? Latest polls. So this is Project 538. Usually they're a pretty good source. What are they showing? As of the 5th, which is today, they're showing Harris in the lead. Let me see what most of these polls are saying. So this is like an aggregate of all of the polls that they're looking at. And they're really close. Trump, and Harris are tied here. Let's see. Yeah, Harris, Trump. Okay, we got some Trump leading. So yeah, the polls have definitely changed. I don't know if that's because of her interview that maybe she went down in the polls. Because a lot of people were ragging on her about that interview. It was like 45 minutes long and they only released like 18 minutes of it. Definitely edited, definitely scripted for sure. Oh my God, that was a terrible interview. So I don't know if that's what's changing it. Maybe people aren't trusting her as much. Some people are looking at this other thing. Let me pull it up real quick.
Trending up in Nate Silver's model and multiple polls after Kamala's long-lived honeymoon phase now finally appears to be over. Her one and only interview was a whopping 16 minutes and 30 seconds of talk time.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That interview, that was not good. And they pretty much ragged on Tim Walz in the interview too. He was asked questions and he gave no answers. It was a bad look for him especially. But here's this other thing here. People have been watching this poly market poll. Basically, the idea is that you're putting money into the poll so people think that's more legit because they're putting their money where their mouth is. Now, you could say that, but there's also another side to it where you have to think that Trump, as of recently, is now more pro Bitcoin and crypto as a whole. So typically if, you're into crypto and you're using platforms like this poly market to put money into fun polls, try to win money depending on who actually wins the election. If you are pro crypto and you have a candidate who is also pro crypto on the other side, which is your Democrats, are typically showing you that they're not pro crypto. They don't like crypto. They hate crypto. Then they're probably not going to be siding with Polymarket, right? So obviously, if you're pro crypto and you're going to be doing this kind of thing where you're putting money into Polymarket, yeah, it's probably going to lean Republican. So I look at this and I question the data. People love this, though. It's a cool idea that you get a bet on who's going to win. That's super fun. But it's just, typically... Republicans are for crypto, so probably going to be more Republicans on the platform. So I don't think this data is legit. And it shows Trump has a huge lead, but I'll bring it up because some people like it. That's why I go back to the national polls. I think national polls are probably more legit. Maybe. I don't know. I don't even know if any of these polls are legit, to be honest. It's all just made up numbers, right?
Done a lot of interviews with Donald Trump. I promise you, not one has gone under an hour. She has yet to hold a single formal press conference in 45 days after her coronation.
Yeah.
She won't even take unscripted questions from voters at a town hall. Later on,
you see her headphones there? She always walks past the reporters with headphones in. She tries to pretend that she's having a conversation, that she can't answer the questions. They're always screaming at her to answer some questions. She never follows up to any of those. And when she does, it's usually pretty bad. It's usually not a very good look.
We will be taking questions from this audience. She apparently pretended to be on a phone call to avoid reporters on the tarmac. That was yesterday. The truth is she doesn't have a good answer for her radical beliefs or sudden flipping and flopping and flailing or her horrible record in the Biden-Harris administration. She keeps saying, well, I'm going to deal with inflation on day one. I'm going to deal with the border on day one. Day one was January 20th, 2021. So Kamala and her far-left emotional support, Governor Tim Walz, are now hiding in plain sight behind their teleprompter, short scripted events. Democrats are hoping that Kamala can win on vibes, phony proclamations of joy, and even phonier proclamations of freedom. But in reality, the vibes haven't been the same since Donald Trump left office. Let's look at the facts.
People are loving Hannity. Is he a fan favorite of like Republicans? I don't honestly know a lot about him because I don't watch Fox News.
The former president, Americans had more money, less debt. Housing was more affordable. Food, clothing, insurance, gas, everything was more affordable. Interest rates were at record lows. The world was a more peaceful place. The border of our country was secure. Americans were more safe and secure in their towns and cities. So what happened to this country?
The VP of one of the most powerful countries in the world, and she couldn't afford wireless headphones. I didn't even catch that. That's funny, though. Hannity is probably the top dog of Fox after O'Reilly left. Yeah, I know he's a big name. I just haven't watched him. I hate that mofo. He does have a very punchable face. I'll give him that. Tucker was top dog too, but he left too. Yeah, I know Tucker because I've listened to his own individual podcast now that he left. I didn't see him when he was on Fox News, but he went into the podcast space. Then I've listened to a few, and he seems legit to me. I actually like him. He gets a lot of shit, but Tucker seemed okay. He does go out to the conspiracy theory lane a little bit, but it's fun. It's fun to venture out there, you know? But I'm sure it's a security factor. I'm not a fan of Tucker. Yeah, I could see why people wouldn't like him because he does go out there.
In the last 4 years under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I asked this audience in Harrisburg, are you better off than you were 4 years ago today? Now, here to answer that question and many more, let's give a warm Harrisburg, Pennsylvania welcome to the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
All right, here he comes. Tucker pulled off an interview with Putin that takes balls, and that's why I liked him too, because I watched the interview with Putin. He's interviewing all of these people that are out there, but people don't like that kind of shit. When you're interviewing our enemies and spreading that information around, for whatever reason, people do not like that because maybe misinformation catches on, right?
Health First Health Plans.
What the
covering
fuck?
Florida for generations.
Got me with the ad. YouTube's been really pumping these ads out lately. I don't know what is going on. All right, here we go. We're back. This one's softball. I mean, I'm sure it is. It's Fox. Of course it's going to be, right? It makes sense that he would do this interview with Fox the same week that Kamala is doing an interview with CNN. They're both probably going to be softball interviews.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Sean.
How are you, sir? Great to see you. Grab a seat.
Okay.
Get comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. David.
All right.
Wow.
Wow.
Nice crowd.
I would say
It's a big crowd.
You know, I mentioned we had this terrible shooting in Georgia.
Right.
Our prayers are with our friends in Georgia. And I've been doing town halls and interviews in public with you for all these years since you got into the political arena. And I told this audience, never before have restrictions been so tight, obviously after the assassination attempt as well. And
What I thought candidates had to bring their VPs with them. I thought that was the new rule. That's cold, man. Emotional support, Tim Walz.
Director Ray said the threat level has never been this bad. He said it 5 consecutive times before Congress. What is going on?
Well, it's a sick and angry world for a lot of reasons. And we're going to make it better. We're going to heal our world. We're going to get rid of all these wars that are starting all over the place because of incompetent American leadership.
It does look good.
And we're going to make it better. You know, Viktor Orban made a statement. They said, bring Trump back and we won't have any problems. He was very strong about that. So we're going to hopefully do very well. We have an election coming up. And actually, you know, they keep saying 60, but it starts in Delaware and North Carolina and other places a lot sooner than that. So we're going to be, I think we're going to be very well set up to do a great job. And do we love Pennsylvania? Do we love it?
Let me ask you. Mr. President, let me ask you this. Between
America. I question that shooting, honestly, and I really dislike conspiracy theorists. Come on, man. There was an entire investigation, a bipartisan investigation. People died. I don't think his ear was injured that much. I've nicked my ear trimming old man hair, and it does bleed a lot, but I think he overplays the injuries, but it was still an attempt. Exactly. He probably does overplay it, and he should. Someone tried to shoot him. If someone tries to kill you, you can whine about it for a couple weeks. Being honest, like his injuries, no, they weren't that bad. Stand back and stand by. All right.
this is a very tough interview.
One thing I'll say is that we did great in 2016. We did much better in 2020. We got millions of more votes. But there has never been enthusiasm like we have now. I mean, I see it all over. There's never been anything like it. And I hear the polls are very close, and we have a little lead and a little. I just find it hard to believe because, first of all, they've been so bad. They've done such a bad job, but that's why the enthusiasm's so good, because they never had anything to compare it by. I ran and I didn't have anything at all. I just was a successful businessman, and we did a good campaign. But the next time we had something special. We could talk about what we did, but we never could imagine we'd have borders where 20 million people have poured into our country. Many criminals from all over the world are coming into our country. They're coming from jails, from not just South America, from all over the world. They're coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen. They're coming from prisons. They're allowing prisoners to come out of all countries. They had almost 180 countries represented over the last number of months. 180. Most people don't know that you have that many countries. They're emptying out their prisons and jails. They're emptying out their mental institutions and insane asylums. They're emptying out the sickest people, and they're emptying all into the United States. And you said it better than anybody. More terrorists have come into the United States in the last 3 years than I think probably 50 years. There's never been anything like it. These people are so bad. They're so dangerous. What they've done to our country is they're destroying our country, and we can't let this happen. If they won, you'd have not 20 million, you'll have 100 million people. You won't have Social Security. You won't have Medicare. You won't have anything already. If you take a look at the numbers, they're filling up and loading up Social Security, Medicare with illegal immigrants that have come into our country, many of them from jails and many of them from very bad places. And we're not going to destroy our country, Sean.
I'm going to play Kamala Harris and the comments that she has made about the border, because I think this is important.
Just a question in the back of the mind. I don't think that assassination was false. I don't think it's a false flag. That's just me. Is he being a little humble? What's going on? Who is this guy? Not leading by a landslide. Make him look like a hero and only cost one MAGA and one patsy. I mean, he did get shot. Are you trying to say the Republicans gave him like a blood capsule to put on his ear and then killed two people that supported them? Is that your conspiracy theory here? Stupid Trump stream of consciousness. Yeah, that's kind of how his flow of conversation goes. It's a little bit all over the place sometimes. I take it with a grain of salt. Okay. All right. That's fair. Fair enough.
I want to play her in her own words about this. You're right. We have people, almost 11 million plus. We don't know how many gotaways there are. We have hundreds of known terrorists that have entered the country. We don't know what countries they've come from. We're allowing people in. They've come in from Iran, Syria, Egypt, Afghanistan, China, tens and tens of thousands, Russia, Venezuela. I don't think they're coming here because they want a better life, as maybe some other people are. And we know nothing about them. We haven't vetted them. I scroll the names often on this show of people that have been murdered, people that have been raped.
Wow, look at her. All these good
people
choices,
in their ads.
and it's not even 8 a.m.
Oh my God.
That's really going to...
People victims of violent crime. And this is all happening by unvetted Harris Biden illegal immigrants. What is your, well, I can play your tape. I'll play that maybe after your answer, but what is your reaction to you've spoken to some of the families of loved ones.
I said at the beginning, I said, I heard they were going to have open borders. They want open borders. She wants open borders. Now she's all of a sudden saying, oh, I think we'll close the borders. She was the border czar, whether you like it or not. But even if you don't want to use that term, she was in charge of the border. It's the worst border in the history of the world.
I do think the shooter was a patsy, limited internet history in this day and age, and seems suspicious. Do you think the Russian propaganda got him? Ooh, see? Connection. Gotta say, that was a hell of a picture taken right after Trump's assassination, holding up his hand in front of the waving American flag, bucking, turning Trump into a martyr without him being dead. Yeah, you can't deny that was badass. You can't deny it.
Not just here. There's never been a country that allowed 21 million people to come in over a 3-year period. There's never been. And 21 million people, many of whom are from prisons, many of whom are murderers and drug dealers and child traffickers. And by the way, women traffickers. You know, women trafficking is the biggest, and they're traffickers in women. And they're coming in now, and they're putting them in our Social Security accounts, and they're putting them in our Medicare. And just one thing, if you take a look over the last week, I said this was going to happen, and it's happening, because these people are tougher than our criminals. Our criminals are nice people by comparison. That's the only good thing. We're showing how nice our criminals are. They came from 22 people recently came from the Congo in Africa. Where do you come from? Prison. What did you do? We refuse to say. We're letting everybody in. We're letting everybody in. Take a look at Aurora in Colorado, where Venezuelans are taking over the whole town. They're taking over buildings, the whole town. And the sheriff, who can blame him?
That stuff going on in Colorado is insane. I'll give him that. They need to do something about that quickly. I think the shooter was caught searching something he shouldn't have been and forced into the attempt, but that's just me. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Who knows? That's something we're probably never going to know. Or they're going to wait until we're all on our deathbeds before they release that kind of information like JFK. Are we talking about, and we are talking about a lifelong con man. So maybe.
I mean, they have AK-47s. You saw it the other day. They're knocking down doors and occupying apartments of people. The people are petrified, and it's getting worse and worse. You look at New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and now you look at all over the place. You take a look at Iowa, Idaho, places that never had the problem. They're pouring in. 21 million people, that's bigger than New York. And we have to stop it. And we have to do the largest deportation in the history.
Those people yelling are starting to get annoying.
Let me play for you. And this is really a problem for the campaign, in my view, is early voting's about to start. And I don't know how many Americans are truly familiar with her positions of decriminalizing illegal immigration and free housing, health care, education. Tim Walz wants free college education, legal driver's licenses.
I was so honored today.
And she wants a path to citizenship.
His brother endorsed me.
I saw it.
And his whole family. I saw the picture.
His whole family.
And honestly, it was a very nice looking family. But his brother endorsed me, and the whole family endorsed me. I said, who are all the people?
Let me play.
I saw the statement from his brother endorsing Trump, but I didn't see anything about his whole family endorsing him.
God, there's something weird with that guy. He's a weird guy. JD is not weird. He's a solid rock. I happen to be a very solid rock. We're not weird. We're other things perhaps, but we're not weird. But he is a weird guy. He walks on the stage. There's something wrong with that guy. And he called me weird. And then the fake news media picks it up. That was the word of the day. Weird, weird, weird. They're all going, but we're not weird guys. We're very solid people that want our country to be great again. I mean, it's very simple.
Let's play Kamala in her own words on the issue of immigration.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
I haven't been to.
What? Oh, shit. You haven't been to the border. That was good.
Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
You support giving universal health care, Medicare for all to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health. Period. We have to have a secure border, but I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. The border is secure. Listen, I think there's no question that we've got to critically re-examine ICE and its role and the way that it is being administered and the work it is doing, and we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
These Republicans, they control. I'll give them that. He may be a lifelong con man, but remember in 2015 when rappers were rapping about being like Trump, everyone loved Trump until he ran. That's true. Absolutely true. He was on Oprah. Every rap song was about being like Trump. They were going to be the boss man. She's such an oddball. Yeah, she's out there for sure. I can't believe you never seen that border clip. I say that every day in conversation. I've never seen that one specifically where the dude just called her out. I was like, you've never been to the border. Like, ooh, what do I say to that? She had no response. She's an Oakland gal, my hometown. Okay. All right. Let's see what Trump had to respond to this one.
So, and now she wants to offer a path to citizenship, which by any definition would be amnesty. Your reaction?
But, well, before you even start with that, of course it's ridiculous. You can't do it. No country could sustain this, but she wants no fracking in Pennsylvania. She wants no fracking. And she said it 100 times. There will be no fracking. There will be no fracking.
But she changed her opinion on fracking. Now she wants fracking, but yet she said her values didn't change. And I'm just confused on what her position actually is.
There will be no fracking. Then just recently she said, yes, I could prove fracking.
Yeah. Right here.
This is a woman who is dangerous. I don't think too smart, but let's see. But she loses her train of thought a lot. She goes, that's why she doesn't want to do interviews. Can you imagine her doing an interview like this or like any of them? I mean, she did an interview with Dana Bash on CNN. And, you know, I have to tell you, Dana Bash did the debate with Joe Biden with, I used to call him Fake Tapper, but I don't do that anymore. You know why? Because he was very honorable and so was she. And I thought that she would give a fair interview based on the debate because she was fair. I was surprised, to be honest with you. I didn't expect that, but she was fair. I thought I did well. I don't think he did too well.
No, Tim Walz did terrible in that interview. And Dana was feeding Kamala the answers, like giving her the answers pretty much. It was really bad.
Although a friend of mine said, you shouldn't have done the interview. He's not going to make it. And you know what? He didn't make it. You know, think of this. It's very unfair in a lot of ways. I complain about it. But she ran against him in the primary. She got no votes. And she was the first to leave. 22 people or something like that. And she dropped. She was down to nothing, never even made Iowa. And he got 14 million votes, and they threw him out. They said, we want you out. And he wasn't going to win, I don't think. I mean, I don't think he was going to win, but we did a good debate. We had a good debate, and it was a fair debate. And he was down like 18 or 19 points after the debate. And I hate mosquitoes. I'm surprised I didn't think we had. We don't like those mosquitoes running around. We want nothing to do with them. And we want nothing to do with bad politicians that hate our.
We're back in Vegas.
Oh my God. Why is my ad blocker not working? What the hell?
Our country, too. You want to know the truth. But they went to him and they said, we want you out. You're not going to win. And it was really a coup when you think about it. And the woman who came in, the person that came in last, I mean, she came in last. She was the first one out of all those people. You had many people that did pretty well. It was actually close at the end. And then in South Carolina, and by the way, New Hampshire was so badly treated by the Democrat Party and by Joe Biden and her. I can't imagine New Hampshire voting for him. Anybody in New Hampshire, because they're watching right now, but anybody in New Hampshire that votes for Biden and Kamala, I really think, I call her Comrade Kamala because that's what her ideology is. But
she doesn't want fracking, but she's being bipartisan and making concessions. She still has the same goals of protecting the environment. Could you imagine if a Republican came out and obviously they're going to be pro-gun, and then they just flipped and said that now they want to ban guns, but they would say that their values didn't change? It's questionable. Your values did change. If you're changing your stance on issues, that's a change of values. There's really no other way of putting it. You could say like, yeah, she's trying to be bipartisan, but that just doesn't work with your goals. Doesn't make sense. My cousin was Oakland PD and he loathes Kamala. He worked with her a couple of times and he says she was horrible.
You know that she did something after decades and decades and decades. It was Iowa, the first two, Iowa, New Hampshire. And that's the way people thought it was going to be. He didn't want to go to New Hampshire. He didn't want to play the New Hampshire game. And so he went to a different state. We won't mention. It's a great state. I won it by a lot. I love that state. But he dumped New Hampshire. And I said to people today, who the hell from New Hampshire would vote for this guy? He changed the whole primary system. He changed the whole system because he took them out of the order. I think it's going to have a big effect. We really want to win New Hampshire. I've done well there, and we really want to win New Hampshire.
Let me go back to the issue, and it's a big issue in the state of Pennsylvania. and you mentioned it. And let me just tell the audience, so everybody is fully aware, is that tonight Fox offered a debate opportunity between you and Kamala Harris, and I was not going to be here, but it was going to be Brett and Martha.
This was supposed to be a debate.
Right. So
I would have preferred.
I figured.
I think he's a nice guy, but I would have preferred a debate.
Thanks a lot.
But this is the best we could do, Sean. This is the best we could do. You're stuck with me.
Let me though play, because the big issue in this state is the issue of banning fracking.
So that's just a reminder that Kamala would not agree to a Fox News debate. She only wants to debate on her platform with her rules. And that's the issue that they've been having. They were supposed to do 3 debates, but because she only wants her platform, they're doing 1 right now, which is going to be in 5 days. There are a lot of components in the plan, so you keep fracking for a little longer and make up for it in other ways. There is no plan, though. We can go to her website right now. What are they saying? We have like 58 days or so until the election. She still has nothing on her website. So until there's actually a laid out plan, a document somewhere that is a plan, she has no plan. He would. I think you're responding to Chad. Chad said, honestly surprised he hasn't slipped up and said camel toe instead of Kamala. Or definitely comrade is what he's been going with for a while.
Fracking. Now, in that, I thought it was a horrible interview and a missed opportunity. Do you know, for 16 minutes, she spoke for 16 minutes and 29 seconds. And that whole interview, the only interview, you and J.D. Vance have done, this is your 36th interview or press conference between the two of you. And we don't know if she supports the Green New Deal she co-sponsored with Bernie Sanders that would cost $93 trillion. We don't know if she stands by that. We don't know if she supports Medicare for all that would eliminate all private health insurance. We don't know if she would really ban fracking. Now, in the CNN interview, she said, well, I said in 2020 that, I would not ban fracking. CNN had to fact check her and say, no, she never said it. This is what she really said.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes.
So would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes. And I've, again, worked on that.
There you go.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
So the issue is she says one thing and then she says the other thing of the opposite, who she's actually talking to at the time. And I just want to show you guys again. I've brought this up probably a million times, but just, we're getting closer and closer to the election. So here is Kamala's website. I'm not being biased. I'm literally at her website. You can donate. You can get her biography or Tim Walz's biography. You can take action where you donate your time or whatever. And there's a store where you buy t-shirts, but there are no policies on here. There are no policies at all. You can't see what she's actually doing. It's constantly been like this, and we don't know what she's doing. So this is a good criticism by Trump because we don't know what she's doing. She keeps flip-flopping on the issue. She's stealing Trump's policies. Come on. And she does this in a way that she can't be held accountable. That's the whole point. She doesn't want to put her policies out there in writing so somebody can come along and say, oh, well, this was actually on your website. Here's the document of things that you want to accomplish, so she can backtrack. That's the plan.
You're a better businessman than I am. Isn't energy, fracking, oil the lifeblood of the world's economy?
So the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Paul says, climate research and planning isn't new and she isn't a scientist. She will be following the advice of experts in the field. So why hasn't she talked to experts? She's the vice president, came up with a plan, put it on her website for what she actually wants to do. Why does she not have policies? That's not an excuse that she's talking to scientists. Talk to them now. What's the current research? What is her current plan for what they're saying right now? Is she planning to wait until she's in the office to come up with the plan? Is that somebody that we should vote for? How can you run for office if you don't have a plan? Doesn't make sense to me.
Cannot even take a chance because
Here we are driving down the road and all of a sudden, bang! There is a crack in our windshield. You know what we can do?
Because that's the real opinion from her. Now, the whole country would go down the tubes if you didn't do the fossil fuel thing. It just would go. And you can do all sorts of other things. But, you know, Germany tried it, and it lasted for about 9 months, and they were going to go down the tubes entirely. And somebody else came in, and I hate to say, they're building a coal plant every single week, and they're building nuclear, and they're doing a lot of things. It's never worked. It never will work. But Pennsylvania can't take a chance that that answer is true. But she's been there for 20 years. That's what she's been saying for a long time. And she will do that. There's no chance that she's going to allow it. The election will take place. If she won, you're not going to have any fracking in Pennsylvania. You have 500,000 jobs. Think of that. It's your biggest business. And you get a big majority of your income from fracking. And you have somebody that's not going to allow fracking. She's not going to allow it. You can't take the chance. You have no choice. You've got to vote for me. You've got to vote for me. You got to. Even if you don't like me, you know? Yeah. It's no, but even if you don't like me, you can sit there and say, I can't stand that guy, but there's no way I'm going to vote for her. No, you have to have fracking. You know, you're the biggest in the country for this. You have two of the biggest sites in the world. It's a massive business for Pennsylvania. And you can't take a chance. She will not allow fracking. She's not going to, and she's got a lot of other problems too. But for your particular, for the Commonwealth, you have no choice
if I may,
but to allow it.
16 minutes and 30 seconds are up. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Barry.
The president has spoken for a total of 16 minutes and 30 seconds.
Damn.
I'll say something else
real quick because we got a break.
If you watch that interview, she had notes. That means she knew the questions, and she had notes. She kept looking down, up. Nobody wants to cover it. I know all about notes. I mean, you know, it's all right if people know that, but she wasn't supposed to have notes. So
she had notes and cuts in the interview, all this bullshit. Also, there's a 2024 Democrat Party platform, but you're right. She needs to be publishing more. Keep in mind, she wasn't expecting to run and was kind of last minute. Okay, but she's been running for months now. So she should have her policies. And plus, she's the vice president. She should know what she believes in. I just don't see how anybody could vote for her, liking her position, you know, when they don't actually know what she stands for. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me at all, man. I don't see how anybody can vote for it. They're voting for her because they don't like Trump. I get that, you know, and there's probably reasons for people not to like Trump. I definitely understand it. But this is not how a election is supposed to be run. You vote for people with the different policies and decide whose policies you like more. But when a candidate doesn't have their policies, that's wrong. She's doing it because she doesn't want to be held accountable. If it's on writing on her webpage saying, this is what I'm going to do, here's how I'm going to do it, people can hold her accountable. With the clips that Fox News is doing right now, it's very easy for someone to say that's misinformation. These were clipped together to make me look bad. And people will believe that because it happens all the time. We don't see certain context of things. You know, that I think we can agree on that with the clips. You know, that could definitely be misinformation. But with a document on your webpage stating exactly what you want to do, and then you flip-flop and do something else, people can hold you accountable. I liked her in the primary, but preferred Warren. Okay. Let's see what else they have to say.
So she's asked a question. She looks down. She had notes.
I'm going to look that up, Paul. I'm going to see if we can find the note thing.
That means she knew that she knew what was happening.
Did her campaign, when they said that they wanted to change the rules that they had agreed to, did they ask for notes? Did they ask for the...
They wanted notes.
They wanted to be seated, and they wanted your mic hot.
And they wanted a desk. They didn't want to do... I said, you got to do a stand-up.
After they already agreed to the other.
Yeah, but they wanted a desk from the beginning. You know who else wanted a desk? Sleepy Joe. He wanted a desk.
All right, we got to take a break. More with President...
Okay, so this is CNN. We could say CNN's probably biased towards her, but let's just see what CNN has to say about the note thing. So, all right. So it says Trump, who has repeatedly insulted the intelligence of Democratic opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, claimed that Harris used speaking notes to assist her in her interview with CNN anchor Dana Bash last night. Trump said, if you watch that interview, they put a typo there. She had notes. That means that she knew questions. She had notes. She kept looking down. Honestly, that's probably not a typo. That's just how Trump talks. So that threw me off a whole bunch. Nobody wants to cover it. He continued, I know all about notes. I mean, it's all right if people know that, but she wasn't supposed to have notes. And here's facts first. Trump's claims are false. Harris did not use notes during the CNN interview. Photos and videos of the interview make it clear that the only notes on the table belong to Bash, as CNN staffers who were present confirm. And CNN did not inform Harris of any questions in advance. A CNN spokesperson called Trump's claim that Harris had prior knowledge of the questions categorically false. So obviously CNN's going to say that, of course, she didn't have notes and all that stuff. That's her media branch, right? Same way Fox News is putting all the clips together right now about Trump. So that's definitely, let me see if I can find another source, but I just wanted to bring that one up because that's going to be the most biased towards her. See if they had any kind of like jaw-dropping facts that no, she definitely didn't have notes.
Trump, we are in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We'll continue our town hall. We'll get audience questions and much more. Thank you for being with us.
We must have the courage to object when they use that term, radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have overwhelmingly been the greatest victims of terror. To reject that term, illegal alien. I have seen some of the worst of criminal behavior. I have seen the worst of crime. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
All right, we continue in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We're broadcasting in front of a massive crowd. By the way, we have in our audience, he is the Republican challenger to a 98.6% Joe Biden, Kamala Harris voting supportable. Dave McCoy, clothing, and Senator Casey in what is a very important race. Dave, great to have you.
Thank you.
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need.
I'm not seeing anything about her having notes, so I guess we just go with CNN, what they said to be true.
Kamala Harris, our country's failed border czar, talking about her commitment. You need the courage to never say the word radical Islamic terrorism or illegal.
CNN wants a horse race. They give Trump a lot of leeway. Yeah, recently they have been, but for this, I don't know, this instance, we look at CNN. Let's go ahead and say that that's false. Let's say Trump's lying. Because I'm not seeing anything otherwise. I only have the CNN information. Thinking back to the interview, I didn't see her with notes specifically. He said she was looking up and down. Maybe that's true, but she's also very nervous in that interview. Maybe avoiding eye contact a little bit. So maybe that was it. We need like a photo, like here's her notes. This is actually what happened to say, yeah, she had notes. MSNBC is more aligned with liberals than CNN these days. Yeah, there is a slight kind of turn going on, but as you can tell from the Dana Bash interview, obviously CNN is still on her side. I hand out in liberal spaces and there is no love for CNN. Yeah, because they're turning on her. They've done some recent interviews where they question her policies, specifically like price controls, things like that.
Legal alien. President Trump is back with us. What is your reaction to that? Because who attacked us on 9/11 and who's crossing our border?
So she wants to be politically correct, and we can't be politically correct anymore. Look, we have... We have October 7th. People saw it. We have things going on in the world right now with Israel and with the Middle East is blowing up. It's blowing up. We have Ukraine and Russia. That would never happen. That would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. If I were the president, it would have never happened, and everybody knew it. Iran was broke. They didn't have the money for Hamas and for Hezbollah. They didn't have the money for anybody. They wanted to get by. And we would have made a fair deal with them. I was only looking to make a fair deal with them. But, you know, I wanted to say it so much during my term. We went 4 years without any blow-ups. We had no World Trade Center blow-up. We had no radical Islamic terror. We had no radical Islamic terror because we were very tough at the borders and we were very tough with our statements, and we had the whole world was a safe place. That was the question they asked Viktor Orban, who's really considered a very strong. They said he's a strong man. Sometimes you need a strong man. He's a strong man. He's the prime minister of Hungary. And he said, you bring back Trump, everybody. Now, I'm not saying it, but he said it because I'd rather say respect. But he said, everybody was afraid of Trump. You bring him back, you're not going to have any problems. It's all going to go away. The world is blowing up. The world is blowing up.
Well, this brings...
And Sean, one thing.
Yeah.
The world is blowing up. And when you look at Ukraine and you look at Russia, you look at all the things that are happening, we are potentially getting ready. I'm telling you, and I've made a lot of predictions, and this is not a prediction because it's so bad. I don't want it to be a prediction. We're heading into World War III territory. And because of the power of weapons, nuclear weapons in particular, but other weapons also, and I know the weapons better than anybody because
I jacked up that. But yeah, I got what you're saying, where they say like Dems execute babies. That whole abortion thing is just a whole big ball of lies where they say like Trump is doing a national abortion ban. That's a lie. They needed to run with the facts there to say that, okay, he removed Roe versus Wade. That left it to the states. Now the states have the decision, which is very bad for women because they could obviously ban abortion in those states. If they would have ran with that and been more honest, I'd been on board, but they're not doing that. They're labeling it a Trump abortion ban and kind of weaving into that. And you have it on the Republican side too, where they say, oh, they're killing babies, you know, like nobody's going to be honest about this issue, about what's actually going on. You're not going to get the details until you actually look into it.
I'm the one that bought them and, we rebuilt our entire military. We upgraded our entire program. And, the one program I hated to upgrade, hated it, was the nuclear program. And I understand it maybe better than anybody. My uncle was at MIT, a professor, the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, a very smart guy. We have a smart family. It's nice to have a smart family. But I understood nuclear for a long time, the power of nuclear weapons. You need a president that's not going to be taking you into war. We won't have World War III when I'm elected. But with these clowns that you have in there now, you're going to end up having World War III. And it's going to be a war like no other.
Let me ask you a more personal question, because you paid a very big price for getting into the political arena. Never mind opportunity costs that you would have had. You've had a successful business. Obviously, you've been a victim of lawfare, if you will, or a weaponized Department of Justice. Although the Supreme Court ruling on immunity, I think, was very clear, although certain judges may not abide by it.
Yeah.
And I listened to you talk about the borders. I listened to you talk about how dangerous the world situation is. I listened to you talk about the economy.
When you can set up reliable Spectrum internet,
Trump will do whatever he thinks will be politically advantageous to him. That's why he flipped overnight. Of course he will.
Is this
politician, you know,
different? If 2016 was about the forgotten man and forgotten woman, what is 2024 about?
So it's not that different. It's still about the forgotten man and the forgotten woman. The people are being treated horribly in this country.
And Trump is responsible for the fact that women are bleeding out in hospital parking lots. Yes, I don't disagree with that. It's the way they spin it. If they would spin it as, hey, this is what happened, and here was the conclusion, and now these people are voting this way and removing abortion, it seems disingenuous to say, oh, now he's doing a national abortion ban. That's not, you're leaving out fine details, but I'm with you that it's an issue. Yeah, I'm not for banning abortion, as I'm leaning more probably towards the right. That's one of the issues where I think he could be attacked if they were legitimate with what they're saying, but they almost lie about how they're getting to it, because I don't know if they think Americans are just stupid and they can't get an American to follow the trail of information, what actually happened, and this is why he's bad. So they need to just label it Trump's abortion ban, you know, which is dishonest. I don't know if that's it. They just think Americans are dumb. They can throw it up on a headline, make it quicker, easier for people to comprehend. I don't know.
We're a country that's being laughed at all over the world. And I'll be honest, if Joe Biden would be a great president, I would be happier than being the worst president in the history of our country, because I want to see what's good for the country. And I would have been very happy. I have very nice places I could be. This is not easy. I got shot at, you know, I mean, I got hit. I could have been all over that place. I could have, but you know what? It's very simple, and it starts with make America great again. That's what we have to do.
It makes me think that if you look at everything that we discussed tonight, and you look at your...
Agreed. You said, I think he owns those bans in the States, Trump's bans. I agree with that in a way. I just don't agree with how it's phrased.
Platform. Thank you. What really infuriates me...
But I guess my main issue is when she comes out and she says Trump's going to do a national abortion ban. He's never said that. He never wanted to do it. It's not honest. But yeah, we could agree that he owns the bans that actually happen in the Republican states. Sure. But he's not nationally banning abortion. That's where they take it a step farther and they have to lie about it.
And I'm straightforward. I'm a member of the press, but I'm a talk show host. I'm a conservative, and people know where I stand. I think the press, they're all liberal talk show hosts, but they're dishonest about who they are, and they have an agenda. They've never played Kamala in her own words. Her radical statements, her extreme statements, I think dangerous statements. And I just think that if we're talking about the border, all of these 11 million, it was all preventable. I think on the economy, if you had sound economic policy, you handed off 1.4% inflation, we'd be doing better in the economy. We'd be energy dominant by now because we were on a path towards energy dominance. We wouldn't have to, Iran was in check. You had them on the verge of bankruptcy. Russia, you had a relationship with them, and North Korea and the mullahs.
But nobody was talking.
I think he really failed to answer that question. Yeah, because it is a weak point in his campaign. Kamala set him up with a lie, which was what I was saying about the abortion thing. She set him up with a lie. So now he doesn't have to answer the question. He can say, oh, she's a liar. Obviously, he runs long with a big paragraph, but all he's doing is running around saying, that's not true. She's a liar, blah, 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 blah. She set him up, you know? The judges he appointed had a direct effect on Roe versus Wade. Yeah, absolutely. Agree with you.
Tougher with Russia than me. I shut down the biggest pipeline in the world that Russia was building. It was called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of it. And I said, no way. I said to Germany, there's no way we're going to protect you with NATO and spend billions of dollars protecting Europe, and you guys are going to be buying oil from the person and the group that we're protecting you from. And I shut it down. It was 100% shut down. And then this pathetic person comes in, and he immediately approves it, but he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, our pipeline. And the head of that union, by the way, the pipe fitters union, the pipeline union. The head of that union nominated and was a big deal in the Biden campaign, and he endorsed him. And those people, 48,000 people lost their jobs. It was all approved. I got it approved.
Got an email from the campaign apologizing for my hat taking so long. Those things must be selling like hotcakes.
Obama rejected it. I approved it. It was starting. They spent billions of dollars. It was also, and they rejected it. It would have been fantastic for us, including the 48,000 jobs. And what he did is he let Russia build the pipeline that I had stopped. It was totally stopped. Going to Germany and other countries. Think of it. We protect them from Russia, and yet they pay Russia billions of dollars. Does it make sense? So I would.
We got a camo hat and a coffee mug. That's all we can afford. Well, they're probably marked up to help her campaign. I think people probably know that the prices are high because it's being used to help her. You know, it's not, you're not trying to get a sale on a coffee cup, you know, you're trying to support her and show you support her.
Was the toughest on Russia. Putin would even say, you know, if you're not the toughest guy, you're killing us. I'd hate to see you if you were really tough. This was the biggest job they've ever had, and I stopped it. And you know what? Russia would have been fine. China would have been fine. China was fine. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs under me. Under no other president, and I mean right from the beginning, did they pay 10 cents.
You know, we're going to get to audience questions. I do have a question.
I'd rather get something though. Yeah, I agree with you. And it's nice you got a coffee cup out of it. Hell yeah.
As we go to break, and I think this should be a question asked in every presidential election, and I'll ask the people here in Harrisburg, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Okay, when we come back, more former President Trump. We're in Harrisburg, PA, as we continue.
What is this? Did they cut it off? I'm fast forwarding through it. Why is this like, I guess that's the end of it. Yeah, full end. I guess that was the end of it. All right. Fair enough. That was a weird ending. I guess that was that guy's way of trying to get around copyright, putting some chick weaving some, not weaving, sewing, or what am I, knitting. What the hell am I talking about? Knitting. That was probably his way of getting around copyright, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how it works. But that was a bootleg video. Yeah, it was definitely a bootleg video because Fox is taking down all of those interviews. They want that money, man. Wasn't really the end. Yeah, I don't know if I have the end, though, because they keep taking down all the videos. It was pretty much it, though. They're pretty much... He's saying all the same shit. You know, nothing new, really.